Four, three, two, one. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the 863 Sports Buzz with your host, Donnie back in Marshentime. Coming at you live on this Monday afternoon. Hey, we're going to be talking about some Week 7 NFL football. We're going to be talking about some, NCAA. We're going to be talking about MLB. What else? We got to talk about NBA tomorrow, man. There's a lot of sports.
Yeah,
Sports going on pretty good.
NBA opening up, and the biggest deal to me is James Harden. What is going on
Yeah,
with
what's
James
going
Harden? He's
on?
not showing up, and nothing's happening there. But all the while, Damian Lillard, he has found him a home, and it
He
seems like
has.
him and the Greek freak, they've already kicked it off over there. And a little bit of preseason, they're excited to get to see. I'm excited to get the season started. The whole deal with Jimmy Butler down in Miami, I don't know what he's going through, but I think we got a few things in store to see what's going on.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm not too worried about Miami. They seem to always have good depth, and they seem to always come out strong. So I'm not too worried about them. But hey, man, what do you think about NFL? NFL was a great week. It was a lot of close games this week. NCAA, we were a lot of close games. It was a fun week, man. I'm telling you.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the NFL right off. Let's get to the meat and potatoes because there is a lot of stuff. There was a lot of close games. I think you and I exchanged words about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And like, dude, are you watching what's going on in the
Oh
NFL
my
right now?
god, man, it's
And then
crazy.
and then again, when Puka Nakua caught that sideline catch, we did the same thing over again, and it
Yeah.
was like it was all day, a lot of things. But I mean, factor to this weekend, and I know you're going to say the same thing. I know you want to vent a little bit just because of last night's game was the referees. This weekend,
Dude,
the referees had their
they need to
hands
figure something out.
and way too much. You see what I got back here, man? They need to be fined,
Oh,
right,
I
Marshall?
agree, man. Look at
They
this.
need
Look
to
at
be
this
fined.
question of what's going on here. Like this
What?
is crazy, dude.
Yeah,
There were
that's a
so
big
many.
what's going on.
These three teams over here that I have on the side. The Colts got screwed. The Dolphins got absolutely screwed. The Rams got
Yin
screwed even
yang.
at the end of the game, man.
Yes, they
I mean,
did.
it was
Yes, they did.
horrible. It was a horrible, horrible officiating crew all around. They got to figure out something, man. Like I'm telling you,
And,
you go back and look, and
and,
it's embarrassing.
yeah, and you're 100% right because I mean, Cleveland never won that. I'm sorry, and they deserve the right to say, but what Gardner Minshew and the Colts organization went through, they don't deserve to have their game got it from something like that. Marshentime, that
No, not even close.
something
Not
that
even close.
critical point NFL game, even in a 31 or a 34-17 blowout game, because the calls were that bad. I mean, be some kind of stipulations to their. They're considered professionals, right? And if an NFL player does something off the field, on the field, they even touch a referee. First of all, Martian time, if they even touch a
Oh, it's a flag.
referee,
Yeah,
they
it's
get
immediately.
fined. They get
Oh
fined.
yeah, it's ridiculous, man. And I'm sorry.
So where's the
These
where's the
referees are killing
compensation?
the game. They're
They
killing the
are.
game, man. All right, I have a theory for you. Do you think they
Okay.
need to have somebody in the booth, like watching these plays and calling down and saying, "Hey, throw a flag. You guys missed this." Do you think that something like that would help, or do you think that would make it worse? What do you think?
Well,
Give me your
I
honest
think
opinion on how to change stuff.
okay, well, I mean, how to change it, we're always going to evolve. There's always a better way to do something. Anything that. The problem is getting it past all 32 owners, Roger Goodell in the front office, the Players Association. You got to get it through everybody, and to get everybody on board for something like that is a huge deal. Look at the college football playoff. Now, what I say, how do we do this? You hold accountable. First of all, we're saying
You got to.
okay, yeah, if we don't want to do something during the game and undermine the referees, which I understand, that's totally 100% professional, not to undermine the referees while they're on the field. We got challenge flags, though, right?
But you
Give them
can't throw
two
them on
more to check.
flags.
Hey, yeah, give them two more to throw at a flag. and say, I challenge that. Look what just happened. Or on a play, look what just happened on this play and it changed the outcome of this play. If it changed the outcome, if it changed the outcome of the game, I mean, hey, maybe we should try that in preseason. We tried the field goal thing, backing them up to the 25. We tried to challenge flags and it works out. We're trying the 3 games in preseason, adding another one. Let's try something else. Or, in the same sense, let's flag a referee, man. Let's
flag a referee.
Let's find them after the game, after it's all said and done. Roger Goodell could, organize. It's got to be lickety split. It's got to be on a panel with 3 random selected owners from each side, the AFC, NFC. We all come on a Zoom call. Hey, what do you guys think? Yeah, find that mofo. Yeah, find him. He fined $50,000. You know what? Those referees get paid a lot of money to play in those primetime games, just like those players do, just like those coaches and owners do. They deserve to be held accountable, Marshentime. They deserve that.
100%, dude. When you look at the stat lines, just from some of these things, the Colts got flagged twice for pass interference in the last 30 seconds?
Last 30 seconds.
Okay. The one I could even understand it being thrown. Do I agree with it? No. The first one was like, okay, it was a 50-50, I could see that being thrown. The second one, you gotta be kidding me. This guy could have been freaking 50 foot tall and couldn't have caught the ball. Don't you call that crap. That's an uncatchable ball. It's in the rules. Don't throw a flag if the ball is uncatchable. That ball was way uncatchable. I'm sorry. What are you doing?
And it's the same thing we could do this all night till we're blue in the face, but it's the same thing last night when we saw Philadelphia, Miami. Philadelphia had 0 flags.
0 flags and 10 flags against the Dolphins. You got to be joking. Get out of here.
Excited when you can pull up images of blatant face masks and same holding calls, hook around the neck holding calls. The same stuff Miami's getting called for Philadelphia. Does that play in large part? Yes. It changes momentum. Just like Dusty Baker did. I'm going to switch this to baseball. Just like Dusty Baker did. When they forced him out of the game, he delayed because he knew that pitcher was on a time clock. Any pitcher that cools down, he knew he had 20 minutes until they could escort him off of there before they got penalized. And he took every last second of that.
Yeah, it's it's ridiculous on what's going on. The Dolphin game was just, I couldn't do, at halftime, I wanted to throw up. These refs were absolutely horrible. The interception that really changed the game in the Philadelphia-Miami game, the guy was tackling Mostert right behind him where he was trying to get to the ball. So Darius Slate just walked up and intercepted the ball because Mostert was getting tackled.
Yeah, he was already
getting flags on this. It's crazy, man.
That was at least a yard and a half, and that's no exaggeration of more contact that he had before that. That was crazy.
Insane. The passer calls, man. We got to get roughing the passer calls to a system. This is a joke. I'm sorry. The guy you can't even touch the quarterbacks. Christian Wilkins even pulled up before he hit Jalen Hurts and still got a flag thrown on him. What is he supposed to do? The guy's 290 pounds running full speed, man.
Look at the Buffalo-New England game. Same thing. Josh Allen put a big flob out there.
Oh,
are you kidding me? Are you kidding? Have we gotten to that point? Yeah, we have to. Something's got to change in the NFL, and I think, and I hate to say this, I don't want to bring politics in. I really hope it's not, because I've been seeing the same thing in college football.
I kind of agree.
College football been doing the same thing. This has nothing to do with this. I hope they haven't gotten into the pockets of a lot of our people, because it's sure looking that way.
Yeah, I'm starting to worry. Don't get me wrong. The Dolphins were shorthanded, so, I understand them losing that game. They had 3 offensive linemen out there, 2 best cornerbacks, and their best linebacker gets hurt in the middle of the game and doesn't come back. That hurts.
Well, they had a 3rd offensive lineman go down during the game.
Yes, it's so hard to come back from. So don't get me wrong, I don't blame the Dolphins for losing this game, but I blame the refs for making this game unbearable to watch. You don't have to be a Dolphins fan to watch what happened and see that this is a joke. Like,
you don't. You just watch football and you say, hey, you know what? Watch Monday Night Football. It's prime time. You're guaranteed. I say guaranteed to see the same thing tonight. The same thing is going to happen tonight. It doesn't matter which side. It doesn't matter. It's wherever the butter is in the bread. That's all I got to say about that. Is wherever.
I don't know if it's going to happen tonight because everybody's all pissed off about officiating. You can watch it. You can see it all. I think they're going to be very, very.
They might calm it down. You're right.
There may be a lot of flags tonight. I'm going to be honest.
A little bit, Marshentime. Right now, let me put a smile on your face, though. You're a Miami Dolphins fan, right?
So, yeah, for now.
Okay. No. Yeah, I'm going to put a smile on your face. Hey, they're 5-2. You can't be breaking that bad. Okay,
they're still in number one.
Your two losses. Hey, listen. Your two losses came on the road against two very reputable teams. Matter of fact, the Eagles were in the Super Bowl last year. So I got to say about that. And the Buffalo Bills won your division last year. That's one thing I got to say about that. But speaking of Buffalo Bills, the Atlanta Falcons are now 4-3.
Hey man, I kind of called it for them to win the division. I'm just saying. I seen.
Guess who? 4-3. Those Buffalo Bills.
Are you talking about the Buffalo Bills?
Those Buffalo Bills. Those Buffalo Bills. Because Bill Belichick did his thing and came back. He put Mac Jones where he needed to be to succeed this last week, and that totally blew my mind. I did not see that coming, Marshentime. But Mac Jones actually showed a little bit of professionalism.
He did. I mean, he actually looked halfway in this whole game. They did what he's best at. Is they controlled the game. They didn't make him make throws. They ran the ball very effectively against this Bills defense, And they kept Josh Allen off the field, and that's how you beat the Bills. You keep Josh Allen off the field enough and make him make mistakes. It's a game over. Because Josh Allen's going to make mistakes. Josh Allen will make mistakes.
There you go. That's the key.
Are you going to give him the opportunities to make up for those mistakes? Because if you give him the opportunities to make up for them, he'll
make it pay.
So
yeah,
but he will make mistakes.
Josh Allen is like a Ben Roethlisberger to me, but he just doesn't have that championship. He hasn't bitten into that championship pie yet. He hasn't really gotten over that hump to where he's got that killer instinct like Big Ben would get. And everybody saw that. When Big Ben saw blood, man, he bit. And when he bit at the worst times ever, and he's got a couple of championships to show for that. I mean, but let me ask you one thing.
All right,
given Miami went down this week, the Detroit Lions went down this week, and I had them number one in my power rankings a couple of days ago live, right here on Sports Buzz Podcast Live on YouTube. But I also put Baltimore in that top 5, and I picked Baltimore in that same aspect. I picked them to beat Detroit. Only because of this reason right here. We haven't seen the Lamar Jackson we just saw this past week. We saw Lamar like we need to see Lamar. Let me ask you this. With all that said and all that done, Kansas City actually looked like Kansas City. They ran through the Chargers like they were supposed to. What was the most significant thing? Loss, injury. What was the most significant thing this wild weekend? Barring the referees,
That's a pretty tough one.
You get over that hump and don't include one of those games if you don't need to. But what was the most significant thing? And when I say significant, what do you think is the most important thing?
Okay, so we're going most important, not most shocking kind of thing. All right.
There you go. Let's not shock them. Yeah, most important.
I mean, shocking. There was a shocking team that I want to talk about that came out with a win.
We could do that. Throw them out there.
But the team that I thought was the most impressive. I think you talked about them. Kansas City went against the Chargers and absolutely destroyed them. I mean, Travis Kelce, dude.
He was a monster.
Insane. He had 11 catches for 170 yards or something. It was
he had another. He had 100 yards before half.
By the way, On national tight
Yeah,
end
on
day.
national tight end day.
So that was
with
really
it,
cool. I
with
thought
this
that was really cool. I
girl,
thought that was
with
hilarious.
this girl in
With
the
this
skybox
girl up in
too.
with a little booty and some bumps over there, man. But they were very impressive to me. Kansas City looks like
They
they're
were.
finally getting a hold of this offense. Don't get me wrong, Chargers defense not the greatest, but Kansas City did what they are normally supposed to do, and that's
They look like
Mahomes,
Kansas City.
Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Patrick Mahomes.
That's
Mahomes
it.
is
Hey,
best quarterback
sprinkle a
in the
little
league,
bit of rice here, sprinkle a
Yeah.
little bit of rice
And-
there, a little Pacheco there, and then you got a
And
complete game.
Scantling,
Boom.
dude.
Yeah,
Marquez Valdez
Scantling, yeah.
had a really good game.
Yeah.
Made some really good
Scantling
catches.
had
So
a-
but I want to talk about the other team that really surprised me,
They played.
man.
Let's do that.
The Chicago Bears.
Uh-huh.
They came out with a second-string quarterback and absolutely dominated the Raiders, man.
He was he wasn't a Division 1 ball player. He was a Division 2 ball player. He was drafted, I think, the very last pick or an undrafted free agent walk-on. And look what he's doing now. Does that give you red flags for Justin Fields?
That's what I was about to ask you. That's exactly the question I wanted to ask you.
Does
this mean you stick with him?
to me, it
or
does.
Do you bring back Justin
To me-
Fields?
No, absolutely not. You ride the hot hand as a coach. You ride the hot hand. The offense is vibing around them. Okay, you beat the Las Vegas, but you didn't only beat them. You pummeled them. You did a really good job,
it was really nice.
and exactly what you were supposed to be doing. Everything clicked in that offense. Everything worked in the defense. I don't care about they might have had Hoyer a backup. It doesn't matter.
He was a very experienced
Chicago did
quarterback.
not look like the worst. Yeah, he did. They did not look like the worst team on the freaking plus for the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, seriously, man. So that's I just wanted to throw that in there for them. They looked really good. So I wanted to bring that out to them, and But hey, is there any other team that you want to talk about real fast in the NFL?
Yeah. Well, yeah. There's one more team, and it's always going to be a team I'm going to talk about just because, and that was the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Okay,
Win
wait a minute here now.
24-17.
Whoa, now.
Hey, we
You're
talked
bringing
about
the
this.
Pittsburgh Steelers.
We
But
talked
let's
about.
be fair. Their offense is still horrible. Mike Tomlin
They are.
did nothing to this offense. Nothing.
But look, they
The only
didn't.
reason
They
they're winning
didn't.
is
They
their
didn't.
defense, man. I'm sorry.
Their defense. That defense. Wow, Marshentime. That is this the if you had to rank the top 3 defenses in the league, would they be a top 3 for you right now?
Oh yeah, they've been a top 3 defense even beginning of the year. They've been a top 3 defense.
I don't care.
But
I
that's
don't care
not-
what you
that's not
say.
the problem
Wait,
here.
that's a Cooper Cup
sorry,
and a
man.
Puka Naku. You're right. You're
Yeah,
right.
but with
The officiating.
Matthew Stafford without their running back who couldn't get a running game. To be fair, I
No.
mean, you gotta
I
think
told
about
you
this.
I
There
told
was
you
a
that
lot
was
of
a big
things
deal.
questions. And to be fair,
I told you that
Matthew
was a big
Stafford
deal.
should have had the ball at the end of the game. So there was no
He-
reason they don't have the
he
ball
should
in this
have.
game. But again,
He should have.
these guys screw it all up.
They had to.
Again.
They had to put their nose in there.
I
And
just wanna
again,
point that
I
out
will
there.
point out. I will point out the Rams will have a hard time this whole season if they do not get that running game going. If they cannot get a running
But to
game
be
going,
fair,
Matthew
their star running
Stafford,
back who's
Cooper
had a
Kupp,
really good
Puka
year.
Nakuhu, none of these guys are going to matter any.
I'm just saying, man. Kyron Williams has had a really good year, and of course he
has.
had to sit out this game. So that really helped the Steelers out because they made the Rams one-dimensional.
One-dimensional.
huge.
That was it.
That was huge.
That was a huge deal. I knew that was going to be a factor going into this game, but you know what? That whole AFC North Division 1 loser was the Cincinnati Bengals, who did not play because the Browns got to win, the Ravens got to win,
Yes,
the Steelers
so-
got to win.
Yeah,
Cincinnati.
it seems like
That was
AFC
the
North,
worst
man,
case
seems a little
scenario.
weird, I'm going to be honest. It looks a little
That was a
weird with these
worst
refs.
case scenario for them. Oh my gosh, that was a worst case scenario for them, and that couldn't have worked out any worse for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Listen, man, the AFC North needs to stop paying the refs. That's all I'm going to say. The Steelers won on a crappy call. The Browns won on a crappy call. Both of them won on a very sus, I'm just being honest, We need to get these refs changed, though. I'm sick and tired of these refs need to go. They need to fix something. They need to have some. I like the challenge idea, man. I really like that idea. Send it to the NFL, man. I'm telling you. Call him up. Call Roger Goodell up. Say, hey, man, we need to add challenges for flags.
Hey, and it was the same thing for the Saints with the Jaguars. There was a few calls that should have been
Yeah.
made there. There was a few questionable coaching calls. I'm so far this week, as far as coaching goes, we haven't seen that red flag this week. We've seen that red flag from these officiating crews that we've seen throughout the weekend.
Horrible.
It's been horrible.
I mean,
So now that we're talking about the
disappointed.
NFL. Marshentime, before we get away from the NFL,
Okay,
I see
what you
got 5 right there lined
Listen,
up on
man,
the left side of your board.
We talked
What
about
is
your
that?
power rankings last week.
Okay.
I got my power rankings this week.
Okay.
Here, I got the San Fran.
So let me ask you
still
this:
so strong.
before you blow by
Yeah.
San Francisco, if Minnesota beats them tonight by some chance, does this change your mind about number 1 for San Francisco?
Listen, I don't see them beating San Francisco. It depends on what
Unless-
kind of game it is. But I do not see Kirk Cousins beating bad defense. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
You know,
that's kind of
we
far-fetched.
talked about Pittsburgh's defense. San Fran's defense is just as good or even better than Pittsburgh.
They got to be number 1, right?
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. They're such a built team. I love San Francisco's defense. We got to put San Fran at number 1, man. I'm just going with that one. All right, number 2. I'm going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs, man. We keep counting them out. We keep saying they're not good. They keep winning.
They keep firing back.
Point. They're winning games like they're supposed to now. Their offense is starting to pick up. Patrick Mahomes is starting to connect with with Rice and with Scantling, and with Pachenko again. This team's looking deadly. I'm telling you, man. And their defense is sneaky good.
They
Like,
are.
they don't
They're
talk- they-
they're not sneaky
they're-
good. They're pretty darn good. Chris Jones
Yeah,
and that
I mean, I'm
defense,
telling you, man.
they let you know they're coming after you.
I'm telling you, man. And the backside of that defense, those cornerbacks, I'm telling you, man, they can both be in the Pro Bowl. They're very, very good. They don't look like they're supposed to. And I'm telling you, the Chiefs are going to looking for another Super Bowl. Number 3,
Well, not only
though,
that, the game. Hey, listen, the game they just played, they played against one of the top 5 leading sackers in the league right now.
They
He
did.
just had 6 sacks against the Vegas Raiders a couple of weeks ago in Khalil Mack and the Chargers. They just played against him. We did not hear his name not a couple of times during this game because it wasn't a factor. So that's a good
Listen,
pick
man.
for number 2.
Patty Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league. There's
Yeah.
not a quarterback that's even close to him, and that's how
He's
I
pretty
respect
good.
it. I
like
respect
that
him.
guy. Yep.
Number 3, hey man, you brought him up last week. Lamar Jackson. He made me a believer after this week.
He
His
come
receivers
back to
caught
form.
the ball. He was moving outside the pocket. He was getting around. He was throwing the ball like he's supposed to. He's running the ball like he's supposed to. Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens at number 3 for me. They took a very good Detroit Lions team and absolutely crushed them. I expect the
They
Baltimore
did.
Ravens to win their division now.
I do. They're looking like that Baltimore team that we expected to see at the beginning of the season, but we wasn't seeing it at all. But Lamar had to warm up. That offense had to get in rhythm. I believe we just saw a part of that, of what we're about to see, and this playoff run they're going to make.
Listen, man. Number 4, I hate to say this because I don't like them right now and what things went down last night. Philadelphia Eagles are a good team. Their
they
defensive
are.
line put pressure on Tua like nobody's done the whole season. Their defensive line is very dangerous. I mean, don't get me wrong. We're down 3 offensive linemen. There's a big difference there from starting offensive lineman to, your 8th best.
I was going to
offensive
say,
lineman.
you're a little banged up front.
But still, Josh Sweat, Fletcher Cox, who's been, Fletcher Cox has been in the league for how long? And we're still talking about this guy because he's still
Yes, we are.
freaking good. Like, he's insane.
He did get banged
man.
up yesterday, though. He did leave the
but
game
I'm
for a
sorry.
little while.
The Eagles are number 4. They have a good team. They have DeAndre Swift as a running back who is now just starting to, he's starting to gain ground with the Philadelphia Eagles. He's fast, man. He's fast. And we talked about speed on the Dolphins. He's just as fast as them, man. I'm telling you. He's kind of crazy.
Yeah, when you Swift, Brown, Hurst. I mean, this is another offense that's built around speed. They bring in Julio. Yeah, he's a veteran. He used to be a speedy guy. He did have a catch, I think, yesterday.
Yeah, I think he
one
had-
for
he had
3
2.
yards. but he is a presence on the field and he takes a little bit of an attention. That's what I liked about that decision with Philadelphia. Why is this a surprise to the whole NFL world? I don't know, because this is the same Philadelphia again that we saw in last year's Super Bowl. So this is not a big surprise for me.
Yeah. And number 5, you know what? I'm still going to keep the Detroit Lions in there, man. I think they ran into the Baltimore Ravens who wanted to prove themselves. And they did. I mean, they really did.
They did.
And I think they just shell-shocked the Detroit Lions. I think that's what ended up happening. I think the Detroit Lions are still a good team. I think they're still number 5 in my power rankings right now. I don't really see a number team that can take over them, So I got to keep them at number 5.
Yeah. You know what? Who can I get a number 6 out of you though, real quick? Who's a close number 6 or two teams that tie for that number 6, ready to overtake the Lions if they lose like that again?
Listen, man, you're putting me in a tough spot here. I still like my Miami Dolphins at number 6, just because they have so many injuries.
They're still 5-2. They're still 5-2.
5-2, and they didn't have many of their star players to this week. Jalen Waddle was banged up the whole game. He didn't really play much.
That's true.
Jalen Ramsey and Xavier Howard, your top 2 cornerbacks, who's supposed to.
Can I get a number 6?
Where Fangio, I'm going with Miami
Can I get
Dolphins,
a number
man.
6? Okay. I agree with that. I agree with that with a close Buffalo Bill fucking up right behind them, just because Buffalo,
man,
they're a little banged
Buffalo
up right now
lost to
too.
New England, you got to keep Miami ahead of them. You got to keep Miami ahead of them.
You have to, and that, again, hindsight's always 20/20. But
always.
when Josh Allen, when the game is on the line, he proved at the end of that New England game, he will lay an egg. He will lay an egg. Put the pressure on him, he'll lay an egg.
Well, I'll agree to disagree on that one, but we'll leave it at that. Hey, man, let's talk about MLB baseball, though. We talked about the NFL. Unless you have something else you want to talk about the NFL.
I'll tell you this. The Buffalo Bills are the Dallas Cowboys of the AFC. They're disappointing when they get in the playoffs.
Yes, I love it.
I do want to talk about Marshentime. I'm glad you asked.
Man. We gotta talk.
We got exactly what we asked for.
We did.
We got a Game 7.
Man.
ALCS. I'm disappointed the Arizona Diamondbacks went out in fashion.
Whoa. What are you talking about?
Wait. Hold on. My bad.
Whoa.
My bad.
They're in the 9th inning right now, and the Diamondbacks are winning 5-1, man. It looks like it's going to Game 7.
My bad. I scratched that. I am
He's old,
disappointed.
Guys. I'm sorry. He's old. I'm sorry. Leave the guy alone. He's old.
I'm disappointed that it went down the way it did last time. Now they're going back to Citizens Bank and they're setting up for a Game 7 there. But the biggest question I want to ask you in the ALCS with the Houston Astros reigning champs, reigning. We got a couple of teams that's been here a long time before. But I'm going to ask you this: they're throwing Scherzer on the mound after that slider wasn't working in game 4 or Game 3 when he come out and he got shelled. He gave up 5 runs. Is Bruce Bochy going to wait that long to pull him this time? Because it's going to happen, Marshentime. You can't tell me he's not going to get shelled. It's got to happen, right? What's your opinion on that?
Listen, it's still Max Scherzer. He's still your ace. You got to put him out there on Game 7, man. I agree.
You have
with
to.
him.
That's why you traded for him, right?
Just because he had one bad game, everybody has that one bad game. I guarantee you, he's going to come out and he may struggle a little bit, but I guarantee you, he gets through at least 6 innings. I think he gives up 2 runs. I think this game is going to be a very close game, but I think the Rangers are going to pull this out 3-2 tonight.
So, okay, that's a good score that you pitch up there. My plight is the Houston Astros, their offense. Oh my God, are you thinking that Scherzer can shut them down through at least 5? I mean, that offense and. Listen, Jose Altuve is doing what he does during the playoffs. He proved it in his last outing. This guy, he's here to play. Now, let me ask you this. Bruce Bochy, if Scherzer starts to give out a couple of runs in the first couple of innings, now he gives out a run in the first inning, run in the second inning, and he comes out and he gives out another one in the third inning, does he think about pulling him? Does he think? Because your season is on the line.
Yeah,
Your
but you got to
season's
see
on the
how
line.
he's pitching. It depends on how it happens. Because he may hang a curveball and make it a home run or
Situational.
something.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
depends on what happens. Because he's gonna give up home runs is a big deal, but that gives up a run. But it's one hit, it's one swing, one bad pitch. That's a complete different story. If he's getting hit, double, single, double. If he's giving up hits, it's a big difference. So it depends on the situation here. I think if he's giving up a lot of hits, I think you got to pull it. But if he gives
I
up like
think
one
so.
home run or something, one big hit, yeah, it's a big difference. You can't pull him after a big hit just because it's one bad pitch. If he's still making good pitches every game, every other out, you got to give it up, man. You got to rely on your offense to do something too.
All right, you heard Coach Marshentime there. I totally agree with that. Situational ball at that point. I mean, but this bullpen for Texas is kind of worn out because the starting pitching's been going out kind of quick. That may
Very
factor
quick.
into if he can't go in too deep into this game. They have to hope for at least 6 1/3 out of him. They have to at least 6 6 2/3. They got to
No,
hope for at least
that's a
six
big
innings
one,
out of
man.
him. It is. They have to hope that way that bullpen doesn't have to go so long because they've been
Okay,
exhausted the
okay.
last couple of games in this series. There's a lot going on. Another thing I want to ask you: the momentum for Philadelphia really hasn't taken over Arizona.
Man, I'm telling you,
Arizona,
these two are going back to back to back, and I love it. These games are so close, and there's such, there is no momentum. These teams are equally matched, and all of it. All four of these teams
I'm
are
telling you,
equally matched, dude. I'm excited for the World Series, man. I'm really ready for this. But hey, man, what do
they,
you
they,
think about who wins Game 7? Who wins Game 7? You never said who wins Game 7 for us.
what,
I gave you
man,
mine. You got to give
it's
me yours.
well,
What'd you think?
it's hard for me to go against the Houston Astros. It's
I
very hard
understand.
just because of their track record. Yeah, we don't have Verlander on the mound, but we got Juron. I forget. He's only got like a 193 ERA right now
You're
throughout the
starting
playoffs.
Christian Javier today.
Javier, yeah. Christian Javier, and he's only got like a 193 ERA, where Max
Yeah.
Scherzer's got an 11 run ERA throughout these playoffs. To me, that's a red flag right there. That tells me, and I watched the way it went down for Max last game, and he wasn't there. He wasn't there. He wasn't feeling it. He wasn't on. Now, he is a veteran, okay? This is why they traded to get him. He is a veteran, so I'm on the brink right here. If I see in the first inning, just the first inning. That's all I got to see. I can tell you how this game's going to go. But right now, sitting back as an analyst, looking at the numbers and what that slider did for him in his last outing, I'm taking the Houston Astros right now, too.
Six. Wow, you're talking big game, man. Hey, man. Well,
Yeah.
I respect it, and I agree with you. Max Scherzer may have a very bad game, but he is still Max Scherzer. Just because he had one bad outing, and he's had a couple bad outings. But let me tell you something: the best players always come out in the big games, and
They
that's what
do.
I expect from Max Scherzer. I'm just saying, man. He always seems to come out in the big games. So
That's the if I saw Verlander on the mound, it's a hands down for the Astros for me because that what you just said right there. Big players come out in big games,
big
and that's what
games.
scares me about this game. If I had to run the money line, I'm not doing it. If I had to run the over and under, I would probably play that.
Okay, okay. Hey, man. So now, well, you were saying the Diamondbacks are out, obviously, but they're winning 5-1 right now. If they
Yeah, my
force a
bad.
game seven, who are you taking in this, man?
First of all, it's shocking going back to Citizens Bank Field and winning 5-1 with the momentum that they have in Philadelphia.
I mean, they
That
just beat
is
the crap out of
absurd.
them 6-1, man.
That is absurd,
In
and
Game
there's no
5, that's
doubt in my
crazy.
mind. I didn't watch any of this, and there's no doubt in my mind. Corbin Carroll had a lot to do with that. Okay, now with that said, Zach Wheeler was, I believe, on the mound for this game too, and that means he had to get beat around a little bit if he was
Yeah, I
on the
mean, it was
mound.
5-1 pretty early, so I'm sure he did.
That was coming back home in your home park. Even after the dramatics we saw yesterday with Bryce Harper and the catcher, it wasn't dirty. It was an errant throw. Bryce Harper did what he was supposed to do. Who do I think wins a game set? This is another coin flip, Marshentime. I can't really give the momentum to either side after Arizona has brought this. They lost the first two in Citizens Bank. They went back to Chase Field, won that one, went down one. Now they're winning one back in Citizens Bank. This is a big deal. This is a big deal. Being that it's in Citizens Bank and Philadelphia did this again last year. I have to give them the upper hand on this one, but not by very much. This could go either way. And again, if I had to play a money line, if we go to a game 7, I'm not doing it. I would play the over and under.
I don't blame you.
Or I would take Bryce Harper over or under RBIs. I would do that one too.
I like it. What about Evan Longoria? Would you take over under that one?
I would on errors. Only if he could turn 2 double plays, because he's capable of doing that, and his defense is outstanding for a veteran. On later in our career, we play defense and we get on that board.
Defense, man. Defense wins championships. That's always been a big motto. So that's another reason San Francisco number 1. Just saying.
I would. Okay, so I'm going to throw a curveball at you. We talk about NBA opening up.
Okay.
Opening up tomorrow. If you had to give me a power ranking top 5 NBA, can you give it to me?
Wow. I mean, you're throwing
or do you need
crazy stuff.
Do you need a few days? Now, this is a Marshentime. Preseason, a lot of shakeup has happened during this offseason. I don't expect you to be We're not putting money on this. Just throw me 5 teams you think is going to do very, very good. East and West. Matter of fact, give me 2 teams East, 2 teams West. How about that?
Listen, man, you got the Denver Nuggets who just won this national championship. This team looked unbeatable. And you still got to give them the respect. You got to put them at number 1, dude. Like, there is no team I would rather take to win an NBA championships. The way they played, the way, there's just no team that can stop them. There's no team, man. I'm telling you.
Even after Milwaukee's moves over there?
That's my number 2 team is Milwaukee.
I
see Milwaukee up there, man. Milwaukee's a good team. I see Milwaukee having a good year, and Milwaukee's going to have a great year. I think they're going to be number 1 in the East. Denver's going to be number 1 in the West. Now, then it gets a little tricky. The number 2 spot in each of this, oh, man, you're throwing me off a little bit. But I'm going to stick with the East on this one, and I'm going to say the Boston Celtics are going to be number 2.
Yeah.
The Boston
okay.
Celtics are sure to be number 2 in the East.
Okay, number 2 in the East.
God, you're killing me on this. On the West, this West side, it's just killing me. Oh, I love. Man, I love
West, it can't be too bad. You still got LA and LeBron over there. You still got Steph Curry.
No.
You still got Steph over there.
I see the Phoenix Suns being the number 2 team.
There you go.
That's where I'm going with. With Bradley Beal, with all of them. I feel like they're going to be the second team in the West. I still think I don't think a team can catch up to Denver, though. I really don't. This team is an all-around team that looks solid, man. I'm telling you.
Denver Nuggets are definitely the number 1 power rankings, and you hit it. Team to watch, Phoenix number 2. I think this is going to be team in the West. What Phoenix is going to do this year, their home opener is Saturday against the Utah Jazz. So
dude, I'm excited for
just
tip off.
Tune in and see that, man. I'm pretty excited about that. Week 1 matchups here. You got to go with Milwaukee. I mean, they're the number 2 team, and then Boston pretty much nailed that. Phoenix is number. Which way you go, you cannot count out LA and the LeBron and the additions they're doing. Not only that, midway through the season, even when it kicks off, you can't count out. Going to make the playoffs. They're all. Was it like James Harden or something like that? Then they become somebody to talk about. But the Golden State Warriors, you cannot count them out with Tristan Thompson.
Oh, heck no. That's it's hard to look at them, man.
They're the West, and they're not going to go away. The Utah Jazz, they're obviously getting pretty good. The biggest thing in the NBA right now is James Harden. What's going to happen with James Harden? What's going to the most satisfying thing I could say that happened was Damian Lillard. Going over there to Greek Freak needs somebody, Marshentime. Everybody
He
in the
does. He
United
does.
States
And
know that he,
I'm kind of excited to see those two together.
man, Batman needed that Robin.
I can agree with that. I can agree with that. You know, when you got that guy on the outside that can shoot like he can, then you get the Greek Freak on the inside. That's a deadly duo right there,
Yeah.
man. I'm telling you. The only thing that worries me about them is, do they have enough depth?
That's the
That's
problem.
what makes teams go long in the playoffs. That's why Miami always makes it so good in the playoffs. It's because they have the depth. They build the team, man. I'm telling you. They have the player development, which makes Miami good. That's what Denver has relied on. That's why Denver looks so good. Their depth is insane, man. They can just put anybody on that team and anybody on the court, and they're going to score. They can score. They can defend. That's what you need in the NBA. The 1 2-star players doesn't get it done anymore. I'm sorry. You got to have the full team.
Almost every championship team that you've ever seen in the NBA's had depth off the bench. Look at Miami, what they had coming off the bench when they won. Look at Steph Curry, what they had coming off the bench. They had Andre Iguodala coming off the bench. Who wouldn't want a 15-time all-defensive NBA All-Star? I mean, every team that you with the NBA championships, they've all had depth on the bench, and they don't repeat very often because it's hard to maintain the money to keep that depth on the bench. That's the issue with the NBA. Look at Popovich and the Spurs for so long, and look at the depth. They had Manu Ginobili coming off the bench. Are you kidding me?
3 years in a row.
I mean, that's the way you build. But nowadays, NBA players, they want so much money. But I will tell you this: San Antonio is getting back to that. Popovich is now going to be coaching one of the most exciting young Italian kids ever to come out in the to see what I think his name.
To say his name.
Wama Bayou or something like
I'm
that.
not even gonna don't even ask.
Hey, something funny I saw during the preseason with him and Steph Curry for the Golden State was playing San Antonio in a preseason game, and they had to do the tip off. Oh, that was so hilarious.
That was good.
But the kid is legit good. He is good, man. He's still like there's a skill set that he's got the NBA hasn't seen yet. And we're going to see it, and it's going to be exciting. But the problem with him is he's a little underweight, and some of these bigger guys are going to put the physicality against. I want to see it. Yeah, I want to see how he holds up. If he holds up, the skill set he's got puts Anthony Davis to shame when he was a rookie.
Hey, man, I'm ready for that. I'm excited.
Me too.
So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how, I think he's a little bit overrated. I'm going to be honest. He does have a cool skill set, but can he handle down there with the Greek Freak, with Bam Adebayo, with Anthony Davis?
Yeah.
With these big guys, with Jokic, with all of these guys, can he handle them? I don't know if he can. That's a key part is defense in the NBA. So
it is.
We'll see how that works.
And the thing is, he's got the perfect coach for his stature too, because it sees he can't handle the paint like that. He's going to move him around to a 4. He's going to keep him bouncing around and those zone offenses, pick and rolls and stuff, and he's going to keep him out of that paint as much as he can against a deciding factor like you said, Bam Adebayo. I mean, he can't handle that kind of, I can't say he can't handle it because we haven't seen it yet. So far, he's been doing good in preseason. So when I see him go up against Joel Embiid, I really want to see what happens.
Yeah, it is preseason. Players don't play as hard. You kind of watch and you can see that. So I'm excited to see when it actual regular season, players playing 100%. We'll see how they actually held up, and I am excited for the guy. He's got a lot of talent.
I am too.
But I want to see how he handles defense against the bigger players.
I'm excited to see how San Antonio responds to Popovich. I want to see them get back on the Western spectrum and back into the playoff talking and back to the Hall of Fame coaching that we've seen. Yeah, I want to see them get back to that deal. And Cleveland's made a few moves, so we might see them pop up in the East here a little bit later on this year. There was something I want to college football. That's it. Can we move on to that real quick? College football.
I don't know what happened to college football, man. I don't know.
There was a couple of big things. Miami Hurricanes won this week. They pulled out a win.
Somehow they came back and won. Yeah, I was surprised. I quit watching the game.
Hey, your Florida State Seminoles came back in the second half, and they put the whip down.
Sir.
Okay. The Ohio State Buckeyes won. What was the biggest factor for you that you saw this weekend? Was it Clemson losing to Miami, or did you see of us else see?
Listen, man, the biggest thing I've seen in college football is what the heck the Big Ten is doing with putting Ohio State and Penn State at 12 and Michigan State at freaking 7:30. What is this BS? Give me a good game at 7:30. I don't want to watch Ohio State and Penn State at 12 freaking o'clock. Get out of here, man. Put that game in prime time. Let me watch that with all my other games. Don't get me wrong. I was excited to watch Florida State and, Duke 7:30, but I wanted to watch other games when they're on commercial and stuff.
Hey, listen.
I'm sorry. That was frustrating, though.
I'm telling you what, after they did that, man, I was like, it was announced a week ahead of time this was going to happen. And then Michigan State threatens to boycott over the whole sign. Hey, yes. I'm like, are you guys kidding? We got to watch this during prime time? Are you serious? We got to watch this?
I'm sorry. Michigan State was like 2-4 or something. Like, what are you doing, man?
I turned it on. Here. My wife turned it on. She said, hey, the football game's on. I'm like, dude, I'm about to barf. I'm getting sick. Can you please turn it off?
It's horrible, man. I'm sorry. Like, my best friend's a Michigan fan, and I'm sorry. She needs to get out of here because this is absolute garbage.
That's horrible. I can't. Listen, the best thing on that Big Ten schedule right now is what we can see, and it's the last thing to see, is Michigan State or Michigan Wolverines playing against Ohio. That's the last thing to see in Big Ten. If either one of them falter before that game, neither one of them matter anymore. Not this year, and certainly not in preseason rankings next year.
Listen, man, we got to talk about this. Give me your 4 teams that are going to the college football playoffs. Who do you see going in, and who do you see coming out to be the national champion, man? Give me your 4 teams. You got to talk about it. We're halfway through the season.
Man, I could give you 3. The 4th one's tricky for me. One, we got to put the Georgia Bulldogs in there. They're not going to see a test until the SEC.
I mean, they're not playing anybody.
They're not going to see it until the SEC championship, and even then, I'm not sure. They've had so many warm-up games for that SEC championship, because this other team that they got to play, guaranteed they've already gone through a juggernaut schedule. So Georgia Bulldogs should beat up on them pretty handily, but that's the last game they're going to get any thrashing to, because they're going to lose the next one, and that's going to be the Washington Huskies. Washington Huskies,
really?
They're going to get a number 4 seed here, and Georgia is not ready for Mr. Braxton Jr. over there. I forget his name. I know he's Jr., but they're not ready for a quarterback like that. Not only that, a defense that could stop an offense like that. Losing the number 1 tight end in the country like that, Georgia is hurting. First of all, they are hurting. He's been there for 3 years. That quarterback relies on him. Okay, number 2 team in the country, I gave you Georgia. Number 4, Washington. Number 2 team in the country, I'm giving it to the Ohio State Buckeyes. I don't think that Wolverines have anything to...
This is huge here. You're saying Ohio State's going to come out and beat Michigan when Michigan has dominated every team they played.
I am, but
Michigan's done what they're supposed to.
Yeah, but they haven't played any undefeated teams. They haven't played any ranked teams. Ohio State's done both of those things. They played an undefeated Penn State, and they beat a ranked Notre Dame, which is huge.
You're correct.
Okay,
You're correct.
So those are 2 on a national scale. They're going to get through Michigan in that Big Ten championship, and that's all they need to do.
Okay.
As long as they don't falter before, so that's going to give them, just like Georgia, they got a cakewalk. All they do is beat Michigan now, and they're in. Okay, number 3 team in the country, that's your boys, the Florida State Seminoles. They're going to go undefeated. They're going to go undefeated, and they're going to be a team to deal with. They beat the Ohio State Buckeyes to meet the Washington Huskies in the national championship.
Okay.
Now, that is your ball game right there. That is a national championship. We're all going to want to see if it plays out that way, but I'm sorry. I'm taking the FSU, Florida State Seminoles, even though Washington's coming through that that juggernaut of a schedule. Washington's quarterback
knows,
is going to
baby.
win the. He's possibly going to win the Heisman, but he doesn't
I can see
do
it.
what Jordan does. Okay, when Jordan gets outside that pocket, he is the definition of a revolving around. If something happens to him, Florida State's got no chance. But when he moves, the whole team moves. If you watch the wide receivers, everybody offensive line, when he gets out of the pocket, they all follow and they keep blocking. That's a big deal because he's dangerous on the run.
Man, hey, I respect it just because Florida State fan. So you're saying Florida State's playing Ohio State first,
Yep.
and Washington plays Georgia, and you're saying Washington and Florida State wins this game. That would be an interesting national championship. I'd be excited about that national championship.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I mean, barring anything crazy happens, which I don't see it happening.
You have to see that. You never can see anything, but this is.
But the Big 12, here's two big factors. The Big 12, okay, first of all, which Washington Huskies are caught, and the ACC, number 2, which Florida State is caught in. Anything can happen. We've already seen that this year with Oregon, with Buffalo, even with Utah. All these teams, a lot of crazy stuff. Duke coming out, they were running the table at 6-0 at one point. You're talking about a lot of crazy stuff. Look at Miami. They're still trying to do their thing. They just beat Clemson. I mean, that's a big deal with that schedule. I mean, Miami lost to a Georgia Tech team on a coaching error that they should have never lost. We should have never be talking about that right now. And Miami still got to play FSU. They still got a shot. So FSU has not made it through this schedule. Ohio State has not made it through their schedule. And Georgia has not won that SEC championship yet. So a lot of things could happen in this season. This is college football. As long as those guys in that middle of that board behind you keep their nose out of it.
Yeah, those are.
Let them play football, guys.
That's a big deal.
Let them play football.
Listen, I love your picks and I respect all your picks, honestly. But I will say I believe Michigan is going to beat Ohio State. Michigan's offense is built different. Yes, Ohio State has played ranked teams, but the ranked teams they're playing, their offenses have not been that good. I'm sorry. Penn State's offense looked absolutely abysmal in your matchup. They couldn't throw the ball 5 yards down the field to an open receiver. And there was no reason for it. There was no Ohio State guy around his legs. There was no Ohio State.
Do we factor that into a bad offense, or is Ohio State have that good of a defense?
I think it has a mixture
That's
of
the
both.
big question.
I think it is a mixture
That's
of both.
the biggest question right there.
I see that as a mixture of both. But Penn State couldn't throw the ball to an open receiver.
They couldn't.
Like their quarterback couldn't hit an open receiver.
On the other hand, look what Notre Dame's quarterback did to USC and to Louisville. They put up double-digit points on both of them.
Utah with a backup quarterback, so you can't. You know what I'm saying?
But they did see that defense again. Utah is top 10 team in the country in defense. They're still that team.
But it was their offense who put up 30 points on them.
They did do that. Yes, they did.
They
run the football. They run the football very well. They run their formula for winning in college football for Utah. Run the football, play good defense because their quarterback left last year. He was a senior, but they're winning. And they're doing it in the Big 12, dude. And at the beginning of this year, you asked me my 2 picks, preseason picks. You picked Ohio State to go. I did not. I picked your FSU Seminoles.
You did.
Yep. I took the Utah Utes. Utah Utes are out of this now because they've got one loss in that division. Yep. They're going to need not to get into the championship. They had to go undefeated, and I thought they would. They had to go undefeated in order to get into this playoff. That didn't happen. Utah will not be considered for this playoff.
Oh, I agree. Now I have a real question for you here. And you're not going to like this, but we're talking SEC. We're talking Alabama here. If Alabama goes and runs the table the rest of the way, and Georgia ends up losing in the SEC championship game, does Alabama get into this national champion or this college football playoff somehow just because of the name? It's not because of their play. It's because of Alabama's name, which I can't stand. They shouldn't even be in the top 10 to me.
Well, I mean, when you talk about Alabama, I mean, they've only lost one game this year, right?
They have. They only lost one game, but they've
okay. So now, hold on.
Very crappy.
Hold on. Let me put this in layman's term for a lot of our viewers. Now, has played at least 3 top 25 teams already this year. Ole Miss, I believe, one of them. I believe,
Maybe.
yeah, Ole Miss. That was a big one for them. There was a couple more that they played were huge, and we thought, oh, Tennessee, I believe they beat Tennessee. Kentucky,
They did.
they thrashed Kentucky, and Kentucky was actually ranked at the time they did that because Kentucky had just beat Florida, and then they had to play Alabama, and Alabama thrashed them. I do
No,
believe
no,
that's
no.
what
That
happened.
was Georgia, sir. That was Georgia. Get out of here.
Okay, maybe that was Georgia. My bad. So here's my deal behind that. Now the Alabama, their strength of schedule compared to Georgia is my factor. Okay, Alabama's strength of schedule is way tougher than Georgia's. Okay, so they've made it schedule. If they make it to the SEC championship against Georgia and they beat Georgia, absolutely do I think Alabama should be considered for that playoff.
Played two ranked teams.
They played
They
two
played.
ranked
They
teams.
played. Well, they played three. They lost to Texas.
Yeah, they did lose to Texas. That was a big one for them. Now that Texas is taking a downswing, Texas has still only got one loss.
Yeah, that was
But
Oklahoma too.
to Oklahoma, but we're not talking about Texas anymore, right? Because Texas is not no longer
Yeah.
considered in our picture, but Alabama
But this
is
is this is what I'm
because
saying.
of
Though.
that
It's because their
division.
name. No, it's
Yeah.
because of the name though. And do you think that they are a better team than the Texas team that already beat them? Is where I'm going.
Do I?
At. So
Do
you
I
say,
think?
So do you think they should get in the playoffs, or do you think Texas should get in the playoffs?
Well, that's the deciding factor right there. It comes down to strength of schedule at the end of the year because Texas has got to play a lot of hard teams too. Texas not only played Oklahoma, but on their strength of schedule, they had to play Alabama too because I believe when they played Alabama, Alabama was in the top 10 rankings also.
I think they were number two. I think they were
Yeah, I
right
think
up
they
there.
were really high ranked. So that's a big deal when you now. Do I personally think that? No, but your question to me was if Alabama gets in, if Georgia falters in the SEC championship, that was the thing. Now you want to throw Tennessee or Texas in there? Well,
I'm
can
just
Texas
saying,
beat
man.
Washington? Does Texas play Washington? I mean, that's a big question there because if
I'm
they
just
don't,
saying, it's. Do you think Alabama deserves because of their name, and their dynasty that
absolutely
they've
not.
had? Okay.
Absolutely not.
That's where I'm getting
Not
at.
after.
And do
You
you
know,
think they should be ranked as high as they are right now?
no,
You have other
absolutely
teams-
not.
Okay,
Absolutely not.
That was my
I
whole
think
goal in this question.
I think they need a couple of more formidable wins, and when I say a couple
Okay.
more, at least one more really good ranked win
Well,
to
they play
even
LSU
consider
in the
them.
next match, 2 weeks.
Exactly. So I mean, that's what I mean. Strength of schedule comes into that deal. But do I put them in there because of their name? No. That's one thing Deion Sanders has done for the NCAA. He's opened that transfer portal, and a lot of these kids are going everywhere now. Alabama doesn't have these 5-star recruits sitting on their bench. Marshentime, they don't. Okay, so
True.
we can't just automatically put them in there because
transfer portal that did that. Yeah, it was crazy.
Exactly. And that was a large part to Colorado and Deion Sanders and what they did. They opened that and enabled to do that. So, no, Alabama does not get a free pass anymore because I can pick 4 other teams that are just as good as Alabama right now.
I respect it, man. I respect it. Hey, and guess what? We're going to Game 7 in Philadelphia. Diamondbacks pulled off 5-1, buddy.
Hey, there we go, baby. Game 7, back to
Hey,
Philly,
man.
Citizens
Back
Bank
to
Park.
Philly. All right,
We got
so
2
before we
Game
sign off
7s
tonight, though,
and NLCS, ALCS, man. How
we're
much
going to the World Series. Oh man,
more
it's gonna be fun.
exciting can this get, dude?
I'm telling you, we got to talk about tonight's game. San Fran
We have to.
versus Minnesota. Where do you see this game's going, man? Where do you see who's going to win this game? How do you see it
Well-
playing out? Do you think the refs are going to make good calls tonight?
Man, I don't. They have a reputation for bad calls in primetime games, and we're going to see it again tonight. I don't know for which behalf it's going to be, but I got a feeling it's going to be on San Francisco's behalf because that's in large part, that's where Vegas, they're going to win, but they're only going to win by 6 or 7 points, just so they can cover the spread. Minnesota's going to cover.
Spread, I like it.
No, I'm kidding. I'm just saying. No Debo Samuel in tonight's game. That's a big factor, okay?
No
You got
Justin
Brandon
Jefferson.
Ayuk. No Justin Jefferson. You got Brandon Ayuk all on his own, but you still have CMC. That's the biggest factor. CMC. How much workload are they going to put on Christian McCaffrey? I want to see that because that's going to be a big factor. If you take Brock Purdy's going to be ready for tonight's game. Don't blow that out of the water. Okay, he got thrown in that battle and that fire last week. He's going to be ready this week. He's going to know what he needs to do. He's going to know his assignments. He's not going to know 1, 2, but he's going to know all 3 of his checkdowns, and he needs to come out within 5 seconds, okay? CMC, I don't think he gets that big enough workload, but Greg Little, I think he's going to be one of the biggest factors in tonight's game. Take those referees off the board. Little goes for 150, 2 touchdowns. Brandon Ayuk gets about 5 or 6 catches for about 60 or 70 yards. CMC might have a few touches. He's only going to have about 45 yards, maybe 2 catches. But I like San Francisco to win this game. I'm going to throw an odd number at you.
That much, huh?
I'm going to say 28-17, CMC.
Listen, I'm putting these guys up here. You know, I got my thing here. So I got to look at my thing. You know, I got to pull my sticker off here. And I think I agree with you. But I don't agree with you on the CMC thing. I think they're going to let CMC play how he feels. You know, I think it's going to be on. If he's feeling all right, I think they're going to roll with him because they know they need to bounce back, man. They know they need to bounce back on this game. You know, they don't want to lose 2 games in a row because then that starts a little bit of a losing streak, and I don't think they want that. So I'm going with San Francisco, man, but I'm going to go with 31-17, San Fran.
Okay, yeah, you like a high-scoring game. CMC,
I think George Kittle has a big game.
If they don't have him on a pitch count and they let him loose, I agree with you. They could blow this out of the water. They could very much do what Miami did a few weeks ago against Denver. They could score 60 points on Minnesota easily. And their defense scoring twice.
Oh, I see their defense definitely getting at least 2 turnovers. At least 2.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to talk about, man, before we sign it off for the night?
Other than what we've already covered, brother, you know what? I think we pretty much updated and give all of our thoughts. Man, I really don't know what's going to happen in this NBA season. I'm kind of excited, ready for this to open up.
Check us out Thursday night. We'll be talking about all the games. We'll be having some fun with it. You know,
I'm going to do a little bit of fantasy action. I'm going to include some fantasy action. I'm a big NBA fantasy guy. I do a lot of NBA fantasy stuff, more so than I do baseball and football now. I don't know why. I just love NBA fantasy. It's so exciting to me. I put my little quarter on FanDuel or whatever, and I play them. I have a lot of stats for you in NBA fantasy, man.
Hey, man, I'm ready for it. Sign us off, Donnie Mac. Let's enjoy it. Let's go enjoy some Monday Night Football, man.
Monday Night Football tonight. That's how we're going to do this every Monday night, every Thursday night. It's going to be Marshentime, Donnie Mac, 863 Sports Buzz Podcast, right here live on YouTube. Until Thursday night, see you then, knuckleheads.